Okay. So today we're going to speak about the benefits of sleep. Oh, he likes it. He's like, I came to the right class. Let's see what it says. Kikar Shena. What is the essence of sleep? Nimshach mechamat shezot b'chinas joseh b'chinat malchut. The primary reason for sleep is to counteract the klipot. What does that mean? These negative forces arise because malchut, meaning the lower intellect, it's adjacent to the impure extraneous forces. Everybody look here. Okay. You guys notice you have 10 sfirot, right? Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know what the 10 sfirot are, stop eating for a second, because there's only one guy here like that. These are all the faculties of your soul. The different qualities of every Jew's soul, these are the 10. The lowest part of every Jew's soul is called Malchut, which is your Emunah. However, because Malchut is the lowest, it's actually the most vulnerable. Why? Because the Sitra Achra, the other side, which exists under or outside of Kedusha, and there's no Kedusha outside of the 10 Sfirot, so it's right below Malchut. What does that mean? Malchut is the only one that interacts with the other side. So therefore the Malchut is the most vulnerable. The Malchut is your Emunah. It's your faith. So therefore your faith is the most vulnerable to negative forces. This is the reason why when difficulties come your way, what's the first thing that's hit? It's your faith. Because those difficulties are really klipot. And the klipot have abducted your faith. Everybody with me? This Emunah, this Malchut, is called the lower intellect. The lower intelligence. The lower mind. Why is it lower? Because it's like the moon. It has no light of its own. It only reflects the light above it. But still, in the end, you're left with some intelligence from it. Right? Let's say, for instance, you have a mitzvah. You don't know why you're doing it. But Hashem told you to do it. So when you do the mitzvah because Hashem told you to, so you're not doing it based on understanding the mitzvah, which would be the chokhmah behind it. You're doing it based on your faith, that it's the truth. Even though you don't understand, that's your lower intelligence. That's malchut. And there are going to be many times in your life that you're going to need to rely on your lower intelligence because the upper intelligence is not available to you for whatever reason. Okay? So now he says, why do we sleep? Because when are the klipot the strongest? At night, right now. How do you counteract the klipot? How do you fight them? You do it by going to sleep. By going to sleep, you protect your Emunah. Why do you protect your Emunah? Anybody know? And when you go to sleep, what happens? You're tapping into lower wisdom.
You're not conscious of it, so it's vulnerable.
Okay, good. And on top of that, your soul actually leaves you when you sleep. So now that it leaves you, it can't be attacked. That part of you can't be attacked, right? Right. And that's called sleeping. Meaning the sleeping is really a defense for the klipot. But that's only at nighttime. Why is that? Because your malchut at nighttime falls into the 4 kingdoms. They're called Bavel, Babylon, Paras, Persia, Greece, Yavan, and Rome, Edom. These are the 4 kingdoms. Why were there 4 people who subjugated us in exile? Because there's 4 main klipot, and they manifest themselves in these different nations. So even though we've already been through 3 of them and we're still only dealing with the last one, At the same time, we're always dealing with all four of them. When are they strongest? At nighttime. Meaning these klipot that are attacking you at night, what are they called? They're called Bavel, Paras, Yavan, and Edom. How do you counteract them? With one thing, Emunah. Simple faith. Because their whole thing is to try to get into your mind, into your ideas, into your wisdom, and they subjugate it. And they give you doubts, and they give you confusions, and they make you feel bad about yourself. Because they're getting into your higher wisdom. So what do you have to do? You need to nullify your mind, and you need to connect to your lower intellect, which is pure faith. I don't believe these things that are coming into my head, because the Torah doesn't say this. And I believe in the Torah, and I believe in Hashem, and I believe in the tzaddikim, and I believe in myself. These forces seek to pull Malchut to the other side. And we know Malchut is the lower intellect. So their whole goal is nothing up here. Even though they want all of this, they're too far. The only ones they can get is the Malchut. To kind of compare this on a, let's say, macro level, as opposed to a person versus the klipot against him, you have this globally, meaning you have the klipot trying to get the Jewish people in general. But they cannot get the tzaddikim. They can't do anything with Rav Kanievsky because he's Chochmah. He can't touch him. So who does he go after? The secular Jews, Malchut. The ones who are sinning all the time because they don't know any better. And as a result, they're the ones who are the most vulnerable. So they come after them. That's the whole reason when people become Baal Tshuva, they have so many difficulties and challenges when they want to be close to Hashem. Why? Because you're taking the Malchut away from the other side. Because you were previously trapped there. And that's why when you try to bring other Jews out of the other side, you also face difficulties. Because you're trying to extricate Malchut from the other side. This is the goal of Zion. We're trying to take the Malchut back. Capture the flag. It's our turn. And so to prevent the klipot from overpowering the intellect, we need to completely relinquish our conscious intellect. And that's what happens when you go to sleep. Because when you go to sleep, your chokhmah, which is your godly soul, leaves your body, and it goes up to a place called emunah. There is a room, a spiritual room that's called emunah. Are you making a diagram? You look very angry right now. Don't get angry. Everything's good. I saw you do this. Okay. There's a place up there that's called emunah. Your higher intellect, your mind goes into that place and it rests there like a hyperbaric chamber, like the athletes go into after the games. And it gets renewed there so that in the morning when you wake up, why do you feel refreshed? You think because I slept. No, it's because your soul was in the hyperbaric chamber called emunah. And emunah is renewed in the morning. That's the real reason we sleep.
But even though emunah, which is malchut, is the lower.
Yes. It's also higher.
It can rejuvenate everything above it.
Yes. It does rejuvenate everything above it. We had a whole lesson in Likutei Mohotan, you weren't there for this. There are 6 ways, so to speak, to go to sleep in a way that's kodesh, in a way that's holy. One of them is mamash physically sleeping. There's other ways. And all of them have to do with simple emunah. For instance, let's say you're grinding, trying to figure something out deeply in Torah, right? You're studying Be'ir and you're really contemplating something deep. And now you're just fried. You're fried, you're tired, you can't do it anymore. What should you do then? Most people tell you, push through, keep going. Rav Nachman says, don't do that. You need to go to sleep. Power nap. But it doesn't necessarily mean a physical power nap. It means that there are, so to speak, mochin de katnut activities. There are lower intellect activities. One of them is going to work. Go work.
15 hours a day.
Go to work. Also, it's only good though when you need to sleep. Otherwise, it's very damaging. Right? If you sleep more than the nighttime, it's very bad for you. It's only good when you don't want to sleep. Meaning work is only good when you don't want to work. If you want to work, work is not good for you. Rav Nachman says, but when you stop wanting to work because you're so immersed in holiness, then you work, it's going to be really good for you. Okay, that's one. Two, physically sleeping. Again, it only is good for you when you don't really want to sleep. But when you have to, it's good for you. We had other examples, for instance, when you read Pasukim in the Torah without trying to understand what they mean, you're just going through it. Like saying Tehillim. You're not looking for explanations or understanding, you're just saying it. That's also called Mochin Nekatnun activities. Playing music, right? A lot of breast lovers are known. Stopping in the middle of yeshiva, go outside, let's have a whole drink, play a little jam, cook. Mochin Nekatnun, good activities. But not when you want to do it. Only when you don't want to do it, and you have to do it. Then it's very good for you.
What about for coming to fall asleep on the safer, when they...
Beautiful, that's exactly what we're talking about. So what's happening at that moment is their mochin is being renewed in Amunah. But that's only because they don't want to sleep. If they wanted to sleep, it wouldn't be renewed. Yes. You mix the means for the end. Very good. Wow. All you need is the Undertaker's theme music to match the way he's walking in right now. Okay. To elaborate, to make this clear what we're trying to say, listen to what he says. Hayenu. He's been invested in the lesson we've been talking about. Hayenu kol zman, all the time yecholin lishtamesh im zeh seichel b'kedusha. All the time that you're able to understand something with your holy intellect, meaning you're looking for the chokhmah and everything, you're looking for Hashem for everything in your life, you have to do it. As long as you're capable of it, you have to. Meaning you're trying to have hasagas of divinity. You're trying to have deep perceptions of godliness. This should be your go-to move, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his move was the hook. Skyhook. Let's say it didn't work though. Okay, maybe he doesn't have another move. Let's go with Kobe, right? He's got the fadeaway. Let's say you give it to him, it goes to the fadeaway, he goes up and under. Yeah? Okay. So your main move is the fadeaway. This is looking for Hashem in everything in your life. How can I learn about Hashem through this activities? Let's say, for instance, something just happened to you. Let's say you just read a fortune cookie, and you see a little message in there. You should be looking for Hashem in the fortune cookie. Right, looking for the Ashkar. But let's say, for instance, you're going through a difficulty in your life, a challenge. Somebody gets sick, chas v'shalom. Something happens to you, you get fired from work, you fail your test. And you're in too much pain to understand what's going on, to even start thinking. So if Nachman says, don't try to think then, go to sleep. Say everything is from Hashem, everything is for the very best, everything is for me. That's called Muna, that's called Malchut, that's called the lower intellect. And when you're not able to use your higher intellect, meaning you can't understand what is the deep meaning behind what's happening, then you need to shut off your mind completely and go to sleep. And he says, when you're able to understand, it is a mitzvah gedolah to do so. To try and get to what is going on. And he says, everybody according to their level is able to do this. Meaning, you have a guy who he's really able to penetrate the levels of reality and find out what's going on at an unbelievable global level. But there is a guy who's able to understand a little bit of what's happening to him. Why is Hashem doing? He's trying to humble me. There's a guy even less than that. Whatever it is, everybody's able to at their level. And as you grow spiritually, you're able to see deeper and deeper and deeper. Your glasses become higher level glasses. But everybody needs to do it according to their level. But when the intellect begins to decline, meaning you're physically tired, you're emotionally stressed, you're psychologically challenged, and confusing thoughts begin to overwhelm you, where are these confusions coming from? They're coming from the four kingdoms. They're coming from Persia and Babel and Greece and Rome. If you have a thought in mind, I really want to waste seed right now. It's coming from Rome. You have a thought right now, it's a doubt. It's coming from Amalek. Every single one of your negative thoughts is coming from evil. They penetrate into your mind. How do you deal with them? Only through King David. David's the only one who can destroy all these kingdoms. And how does he do it? Through a lower intellect, through emunah. You need to shut off your mind completely and access simple emunah. You are a lie. Hashem is good to me. Hashem is taking care of me. If I do what He wants, my life will work. Everything will work out. There's no such thing as evil, as bad. Then you blew him up. Even this is from Hashem. That's how you obliterate the kingdoms. That's called going to sleep. And a person must sleep then. Why? Because his da'at has departed. His knowledge of God has been removed from him. He must completely relinquish it now, not try and hold on to it, and he needs to go to sleep. Any questions? Now, we're going to start a brand new lesson in Likutei Mohotan. In 2 weeks from tonight, literally, we're going to be in the grand opening of Zion. It says in Tehillim that Hashem loves all the Jews, but He loves the Jews that dwell in Zion the most. So Bezrat Hashem, I want to spend the next 2 weeks preparing us mentally, psychologically, emotionally, physically to get ready for what's about to happen. Okay? You ready? We're starting a new center. A new center. We're not going to be here anymore. Remember we spoke about it. 2 weeks. You got it. So let me get the lesson, and we will begin. Listen to every word we're going to say, because it's very, very important. Everybody ready? Don't throw up. You got to stick through this. You got to stay strong, because the Yetzer Hara doesn't want you to hear this lesson. Okay. You want to take a second? Eretz ochelet yoshveha. The land devours its inhabitants. This is a pasuk from Bamidbar about the land of Israel. Listen to what Rav Nachman says in Likutei Mohotan Siman Kuf Kaf Tet 129. You ready? Kishemekorav tzadik. When a person draws near to a real tzadik, Av she'enu mikabel mimenu klal, even if he doesn't receive anything from him, meaning he's not really growing spiritually. He's not learning more. He's not able to overcome his taivas more. He's not able to overcome his fears more, or his sadness more, or his anger, or his desire to waste seed. Nothing it feels like is being fixed. Hu gam ken tov ma'od. Even just the fact that you're near this tzaddik is really good for you, he says. Ve'amuna levada shema'amin b'tzadik, meaning the simple emunah that you have by believing in the tzaddik. Mo'il la'avodat Hashem yiparach. It is very beneficial for you in serving Hashem. Ki teva achila la'mazon itapech nizadon. Because it's the nature of food to sustain the sustainer. And once it is consumed by you, it actually flips and becomes a part of you. The food. Kago, for example, when there is a wild or domesticated animal that he goes into the field and he eats grass or he eats something from the ground. Kagon asavim, for example, like grass. Nitapchin asavim lachai. What happens to the grass? Besides the Bukhari and smoking it. I was actually in New York City. You woke up, huh? Then he said he's about to die, and all of a sudden he's awakened to life from the grass. You ready? You're the doctor, so listen to what Rav Nachman's saying. If you are by a tzaddik, You're close to a real tzadik, but you're not being helped. You're still wasting seed. You're still falling in your tivers. You're still watching things you're not supposed to. You still lack Amunah in Hashem. Rav Nachman, it's still very good for you to be close to this true tzaddik, and it's going to be very good for you in serving Hashem. Why is that? Because when you eat something, it becomes a part of you. So what's the example he gives? You have a cow. He goes into the grass, and he makes cow noises. It's a holy cow. He eats the grass, and what happens to the grass? The grass becomes a part of the cow. What happens? The nutrients from the grass literally are extracted from the physical grass, and they become a part of his flesh. They enter his innards, and they become a part of him. And what about when you eat steak? Now that you ate this steak, it becomes a part of you. What's happening, he's speaking about, is something very deep. There's a concept Kabbalistically that everything needs to be rectified. How is everything rectified? When it enters the higher level above it. Meaning, what's the whole reason cows eat grass and then you eat a cow? Is so that you can elevate the grass.
Wow. What about what elevates the grass? It's got to be something.
Yeah, so the non-vegetative. So you're elevating it all the way up to the top. So when you don't make a bracha, the cow misses out, the grass misses out, the stone misses out, everything misses out. But when you make a blessing on your food, and you eat it, not in a gluttonous way, but with kedusha, with honor, you elevate everything. This is what it means to be a human being. Your whole role in this world is to elevate the whole physical world. You're going to say, well, what am I doing? Answer is, you're eating all the time. So elevate everything. How are you elevating it? Because Rav Nachman is explaining something very deep. That when the cow eats the grass literally becomes a part of the cow. So he elevated it to the level of chai, which is a living animal, which is higher than vegetation. And then you eat the steak. And what happens now is that the steak literally becomes a part of you. Benny, what are you doing? Come off your phone, come on. You sit down, you learn. You don't have to go. What if I gave you money? You would stay? What if I gave you grass? You would stay? You smile, so I don't believe you. I'll give you the grass after class.
Good grass.
The grass is going to become a part of you. Okay. You hear this? What's going to happen when you drink this drink? Benny, you can't miss this. This lesson's for you. And your pants are, you can't walk around like that. Okay. Quick. Okay. Moreover, in any place, that food then becomes divided into all your limbs, right? All the nutrients enter your blood, and the blood enters all of your limbs and becomes a part of your limbs. And what you ate literally becomes a part of your limb. It becomes your flesh, right? When you gain weight, what is the weight being gained from? The calories in your food, whatever you ate, it literally becomes a part of your limbs. Meaning that when those nutrients enter your brain, it becomes a part of your brain. And when it enters into your heart, it then becomes a part of your heart. And this is for all the limbs of your body. Now let's go back and let's look at this pasuk. Because the pasuk says, Eretz ochelet yoshveha. The land of Israel devours its inhabitants, the ones who lives there. What does that mean? Eretz is always the concept of Amunah. Land is always a code word in the Torah for Amunah. Israel is always the concept of higher consciousness. Yaakov was the heel. But then he became Israel. Which Yisrael? Roshli. You flip the letters around, it said, there's a head to me. Meaning higher consciousness. So Eretz is Amunah. Israel is Chochmah. The land of Israel is the place that you have the lower and the higher intellect.
That's what you go find.
Yes. What does it mean that the land of Israel consumes the people who live there? It means that when you live in a place of Amunah, Shechan Eretz Urei Amunah, like the Pasuk in Tehillim says in Yud Zayin, Shechan Eretz, dwell in the land, Urei Amunah, and build Amunah, cultivate Amunah. And he says, what is the land? It's not just the physical land. Whenever you have Amunah, it's called you're living in the land of Israel. And what happens when you're living in that land? Ochelet Yoshvea. It devours everything that lives there. Meaning, Keshenichnas la'aretz, meaning when you enter that land, Shehi Bechinat Amunah, you enter Amunah, Ne'echal Etzla. The Amunah devours you. Hayinu Shitapech Lemahuta. And then you become part of the Amunah, just like the food that you eat becomes a part of you. Hayinu Keshedavuk Latzadik Uma'amin bo. Meaning, when you are next to a real tzadik and you're learning from a true tzadik, even if you're not benefiting from him, but you simply believe in him, do you know what happens to you? Shehu Bechinat Eretz. That tzadik is the concept of the land of Israel. And when you believe in him, Nitapech lemahut tzadik mamash. You literally become a part of the tzaddik. And that part of you becomes tzaddik. When Rav Nachman said, I can turn anyone who believes in me into a tzaddik, you know what he meant? I am Eretz Yisrael. And if you live in the land, I'm going to consume you. Meaning what? If you simply believe in me, ultimately I'm going to nullify all the negativity inside of you.
Working the land consuming.
Yes, the land consumes you. It's a good thing.
It's also a curse.
It depends. So you're going to see in a second. Does everybody understand the concept? V'chen Eretz Yisrael ba'atzma. And he says the land of Israel itself has this koach. Yesh la gam gen koach hazeh. It has this koach as well, just like the tzaddik. And in the teachings of the Zohar, they compare the land of Israel to the tzaddik all the time. Whatever applies to the tzaddik applies to the land of Israel. Just like the tzaddik teaches you Torah, the air in the land of Israel makes you wise. Just like the tzaddik teaches you Amunah, when you live in the land of Israel, you cultivate Amunah. It's one concept. Just like it says in Ketuvot, Kol ha'yoshev be'eretz Yisrael sharui b'lo avon. Anyone who lives in the land of Israel is forgiven of all of his averot. Oh, that's crazy. How does that make sense? I live in the land of Israel and all of a sudden everything I've ever done is just forgiven? Yeah, that's right. But how is that possible? It consumes you. Meaning it turns you into a tzaddik. The land itself turns everybody into tzaddikim. But everybody should have a problem with this. Because if that was the case, how do we ever get exiled? Oh, we should be. It should have consumed us, but it didn't. So there's a couple answers to this. One answer, it only consumes the person who wants to be there. Only the person who wants to be attached to the tzaddik and wants to learn from him and wants to become great, it consumes him. Only the person who wants to live in Eretz Yisrael, who wants to live in Amunah Shlema, it will consume him. But the person who's living there for historical reasons, or national reasons, or Zionistic reasons, or for fun, that land is not going to consume him. It will spit him out. Right? You do not become a part of the land and subsumed in it, you become vomited out. Those people in the land of Israel that were exiled, they were exiled because they were vomited out because they did not want to be attached to Eretz Yisrael. Like the spies. I like how everybody's going off into
Wait, what's considered living there? Is it like visiting it, living there like for 6 months?
Rav Nachman says it means living mamish in the land and buying a house there. Yes.
Making a whole settlement.
Yes.
You know, you can't even do that now. If you have American money over 100,000, you can't even bring it there.
Oh.
How are you gonna do it?
Oh, it's a big test.
Yeah, thanks.
So thank God for you. You're very famished, and you can go over there and not lose your $100,000, and you're good to go.
Saying, like, what are you gonna do?
This is the whole test, my friend. The whole land is the land of Amunah. If you want to live there, it's because you want to live on faith. You don't live on faith when things make sense. You're able to take your whole bank account there and set up a nice
There's no
situation.
bank account, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's the whole point, Benny. You need to relinquish.
Oh my God. You ain't got no. Leave everything behind.
Leave it all behind. And what?
It's literally like the Holocaust. I'm telling you.
Okay, Benny, I don't know how you jump from year to year, and I need to.
No, I'm not saying this whole continent. You can't even bring anything with you.
Okay.
Here and there.
Yes, that was a very extreme example. I need you to tone it down for a second. Because you don't live in the land and your sins are not being forgiven right now, okay? But because you want to. Okay? So the Gemara says very clearly, you live in the land. I was just kidding. You live in the land and all of your sins are forgiven. And it says elsewhere, where to get this from? The Pasuk in Yeshaya says, "Ha'am ha'yoshev ba nasu abon." The nation that lives in that land, all of its avails come out.
Yeah, that one is bugging me.
So listen to what he says here. Kihi eret ochelet yoshveha, because that land consumes its inhabitants, meaning it consumes the good in you and it spits out the bad. Hayoshev sham ne'achal etzla, and you literally become a part of the land. V'nitapech l'machuta kodesh, meaning that land is all kodesh. The whole land is holy, so it makes you holy. V'al ken afilu hamalech arba amod be'eretz Yisrael. And therefore, someone who walks even only 4 amot in the land of Israel, muftach lo shehu ben olam haba. The Gemara says you're guaranteed a portion in olam haba. Why? And how could it be that if you only walk 4 amot in the land of Israel, you automatically get a chelik in olam haba? How is that possible?
From there, this is the best over there.
Because it's exactly like going by a tzadik, and even though you haven't acquired anything there, you only traveled 4 cubits with him, even though you've been with him for weeks or months or years, and you're toiling and you're struggling with everything. Still, because you walked 4 cubits there, you're guaranteed a elik and olam haba. Why? Because the land consumes you. The land consumes you. And what are the 4 cubits of halacha? The Gemara says clearly it is Torah. It is Torah. So when the tzaddik teaches you Torah, even if you're not holding by it, but you're sticking by him because you believe in him, that belief in him alone is going to make you holy in the end. This is also the point elsewhere. Why? It says elsewhere in the Likutei Mohotan, on this pasuk, Dikrov alen re'im lecho et basari. Everybody focus. Everybody pay attention. Everybody off your phones. Because when evildoers come close to consume my flesh, so listen to how Rav Nachman's learning out. When evildoers come to consume my flesh, what does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? So the simple meaning is that David HaMelech is asking to be protected from the people who are hating against him. Right? But Nachman says, don't read it like that. Read it like this. Because that when those who do evil come to get you, le'acho et besari, the land of Amunah consumes your flesh. And you're protected from all evil. Everybody understood? Yes or no?
There were people even in the other exiles that held by the truth, held by.
Okay, so wait, let's see what. So wait.
They were like part of the exile.
So wait, we're gonna see why in the next Torah that we're gonna do. Sheklal ha'inyan sham. The general point being like this: Kishani rotzeh likrov train re'in dala mitparshin. When I desire to bring close those 2 beloveds that are always together, which I'm going to explain in a second, I need to I need to consume my own flesh. Meaning I need to subdue my physicality. So everybody needs to follow me to understand what's about to happen right now. Everybody please follow. This is very, very important. It's very essential to everything we've ever learned together. and we'll ever learn together.
You have the other book with you? I mean, like,
No, just follow me. Don't worry. It's not in there. I don't think. Everybody will follow us.
you have the other one.
Me too. What is called Kodesh? What is holy? What does it mean for something to be holy? That was a real question. It wasn't rhetorical. Separate. Good. That is a simple definition. What else? What is it to be holy? What does it mean to be Kodesh? Emuna. Blessed. What else? Unified. Say it out loud. Unified.
What did you answer?
What is Kodesh? What does that mean?
Kodesh?
Yeah.
Kodesh is part of
When we say that this Sefer is Kodesh, what are we saying?
holy. It's
What does that mean?
Kodesh.
What does holy mean?
This is
Holy, holy, holy. What is it? You ever think about it? Don't touch it. Don't drop it. It's Kodesh. It's unique. Unique New York. What else? Anybody else? Elevated. Okay. So I want to show you.
it's in a high.
Higher, elevated. Elevated.
Yeah.
Separate, elevated, unified. All of this is true. In the Sfirot, you'll notice there is one subsection of the Sfirot that is all the things that you said. It is higher, it is elevated, it is unified, it is separate. What is that? Chokhmah Bina Da'at, Chabad. Wisdom, understanding, knowledge. In terms of the Sfirot, the part of you that is godly, that is Kodesh, is called Yer Chabad. Every Jew has their own Chabad house. It is their mind. That's the part of you which is Kodesh. This part of you is always unified. It's always one, and it's a piece of God. What is the goal of every Jew in their life? It is to connect to that part of themselves which is called Chabad. By the way, even though I love Chabad, I'm not a Chabadnik. This is not my plug for them. I'm just telling you this is what it is. This is the whole reason Chabad became Chabad, because of this reason. The whole essence of your purpose in this world is to know Hashem. Chabad. Chokhmah Bina Da'at. That part of you is called Kodesh. How do you do that? How do you do that? So I want to show you something. Everybody pay very close attention. I'm going to give you a very deep secret to a mitzvah that every single one of us do every day, Bezrat Hashem, for our whole lives, except for Shabbat. When you wrap tefillin, what do you say? So usually you say the 2 paragraphs about wrapping on the arm and the head, but I want to show you the first one. Right? There's 4 paragraphs actually that have to do with wrapping tefillin. The first one says like this. Vayalacha la'ot al yadcha. You should place a sign on your arm. Uzikaron b'neinecha. And there should be a memory, a remembrance, a sign in between your eyes. L'ma'an tiyeh Torat Hashem b'ficha. In order that the Torah should be in your mouth. Ki b'yad chazaka otziacha Hashem miMitzrayim, because Hashem took you out of the land of Mitzrayim. V'shamata et hachukah zot l'ma'adam miyamim yamimah. Now forever, you need to follow what he tells you to do. Okay? So now listen. What does it mean on a deeper level that you need to wrap your arm and that you need to place something and have a memory or a remembrance or a sign in between your eyes, and the Torah should be in your mouth? This is the whole purpose of your existence. We're saying that the part of you which is Kodesh, which is unified, which is holy, which is separate, which is elevated, which is a piece of God that you're trying to connect to, that is the Zikaron B'neinecha. What is in between your eyes? It's your brain. It's your brain. It's your brain. It's your brain. But I want to show you something very interesting. You are not allowed to put on your head tefillin, meaning you're not allowed to access your mind, the part of you which is Kodesh, until you first put the ot on your yad, until you first put the sign on your arm. What is it to put the sign on your arm? Simple faith. What else? Subjugate your heart. You rap 7 times corresponding to the 7 sfirot that are not completely Kodesh. Meaning what? You are subjugating the negativity inside of you by not following through with its desires for food, for sex, for pleasure, anger, sadness, laziness. All of these things are not up here because up here is only good. What is the Torah teaching you? I took you out of Mitzrayim, meaning what? I took you out of that secular world. I took you out of suffering, psychological suffering, emotional suffering, physical suffering. How did I do that? Through the arm tefillin, meaning you stopped doing what they did in Mitzrayim. You didn't give in to your taivas. You held yourself back. That is the tying. That's the reason why you're tying tight on your arm. It's not comfortable, so to speak. You are holding back your left arm. Your left arm is the arm of taivas. You're tying it up. You're restricting it. And only then you put on your head tefillin. Meaning, only after you have first subjugated your physicality can you access the godliness inside of you. Let's go back to the pasuk. It should be a sign on your arm, meaning you're subjugating your physicality. And then you're going to remember. Zikaron is a memory. It's going to be activated between your eyes. You're going to feel godliness. You're going to experience godliness. You're going to know God. Why? So that Torah which you just accessed in your mind comes out of your mouth. And he voted it. This is the whole purpose of your life. And when you do, you're free. Restricting your taivas connects you to the godly soul inside of you, which fills your mouth with what to say. Yeah.
Also, the oath advertised the piece of.
So the oath is the strapping, right? So I'm explaining though. This is opposite your heart, which is the place of all your desires. Yes. So you subjugate your heart. You subjugate your heart. Meaning, by conquering your heart, you access your mind. Okay. Everybody understand what we said now? Now I want to go back to what we just said, and you're going to understand. He says the general point is like this: when evildoers come close to consume my flesh. So he says this is not the simple meaning. What does it really mean? When negativity comes to you, consume your own flesh. Meaning, subjugate your physicality, and then it can't touch you. You're vulnerable because you're giving into your taivas. Your desire to eat and to sleep and to waste seed and to drink and to smoke and to do all of these things. Now you become vulnerable. Why? Because you don't have your arm tefillin on. But if you want to come close to the two beloveds who do not separate, what is this speaking about? This is a sentence from the Zohar. It's a very important sentence in the Zohar. Two beloveds that don't separate. What is he speaking about? Chochmah and Bina. These are the two beloveds that don't separate. As opposed to these sfirot, which all exist on their own, so to speak, and they need to come together, but they're not naturally together. Chochmah and Bina, Abba and Ima, father and mother, they're the two beloveds that they're always together. They're always facing each other. But the only way to access them is you have to consume your flesh, meaning you need to subjugate your corporeality. The two beloveds are the zikaron in between your eyes. They are the memory in between your eyes. Now you can understand why, according to Kabbalah, you have to wear both Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam at the same time. Because according to the Ben Ish Chai, Rashi is Bina and Rabbeinu Tam is Chochmah. This is the reason why, according to Sephardi Halacha, once you're married, you need to wear Rabbeinu Tam. It's not nice to, you need to. Why? Because otherwise you don't have chokhmah.
You have to wear it simultaneously, or you have
No, so then according to Kabbalah, you have to wear it simultaneously. Why? Because the two beloveds never depart. Meaning, if you don't wear them at the same time, you're creating a separation between something that's never separate. And that causes damage. That's the reason why Kabbalists wear the two small tefillins on their head.
like Kabbalist rabbi.
Okay. Everybody with me? You understand?
Two G's right there, right?
This is also why it says in Shir Shirim, Ichlu Re'im, eat my beloved ones, meaning train Re'im the lo mitparshin, these two beloveds that they never depart from each other. Elvis, listen. What was that? Sorry. Sheher Amochi and Kedoshim. Meaning, these mochin that are Kodesh, the part of you that's Kodesh, your mentalities, your mind, your Chokhmah and Bina, they are the two beloveds that never depart. In order to access them, shetzarichim lamoch v'adat HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yochal et haguf, you have to first devour your own flesh. Dainu, meaning shaguf nitapech lemahut and neshama kedusha. Meaning what? You need to take your flesh and stick it in the land of the mind. And then what happens? It becomes a part of the mind. Just like when you eat something, it becomes a part of your limbs. And like we're learning, when you go in the land of Israel, you become a part of the land. How does a person subjugate his physicality? By learning Torah. Because the Torah is Chokhmah and Bina. So when you're learning, what happens? Then all of your physicality becomes subsumed within the mind. And it becomes a part of it. That's the reason why the Gemara says clearly, what's the antidote to the Yetzer Hara? Limud Torah. Chokhmah Bina. And it becomes that. This is the same thing that happens when you connect to a tzaddik. By simply believing in him, so to speak, you're bringing your 7 limbs of taivas to the tzaddik who's the mind. And by only believing in him alone, even though you're still wasting seed, even though you're still overeating, even though you're still struggling with this and that, but if you just believe in him, it's like he ate you, and you now become a part of him. Because the land devours its inhabitants. How do you live in the land? Through belief. Where does citizenship come from? It's not from a passport. It's from faith. When you believe in the thing that you're with or that you're in, you live there.
So we learned before that if you give a cover, he takes that cover and he spells it out for you, he elevates you.
Yes.
So you're basically the food in the tzaddik.
Yes.
He can elevate you in it.
That's right. Every day, do you know what's happening when we learn Rabbeinu's Torah? He's consuming us. Everybody's like, sweet. But he's not consuming the good part of you. He's consuming the part that you hate about yourself. And what happens is the good part of you becomes a part of him, and the bad part comes out in the toilet. It gets expelled. Just becomes extinguished. Becomes extinguished. This is the meaning of the pasuk. It says, dwell in the land and cultivate the emunah, meaning you should cultivate and nourish your emunah by being consumed by the land, by faith. What is it that ultimately cures all? It's emunah. Why? Because when you believe in Hashem, Hashem devours you. When you believe in the tzaddik devours you. When you believe in Eretz Yisrael, meaning you live in the land, meaning you have emunah, the emunah itself destroys all of the bad inside of you. And even if you go for weeks or for months and for years and you don't see a change, it's because you're being digested. Eventually, ultimately, it will be consumed if you simply do not give up. If you don't leave the stomach before you're processed, you will come out the way you want to. However, he says, even though this is all true, that simply by living in the land, simply by believing in the tzaddik, simply by believing in Hashem, it will consume you. And even though that this is the case, the essence is dependent on your will. If your will is strong enough to attach yourself to Hashem and to serve Him, even though it's hard, to break all of the taivas of your body. Then, through your closeness and faith of the real tzaddik, through the concept of consumption, you're consumed by the tzaddik. And then you're literally transformed into his substance. However, if you do not desire to be close to Hashem, it is no benefit at all for you to be close to a tzaddik. And your mazon, the fact that you're his nourishment, it doesn't become a part of his limbs. Could go, for example, you eat a food that you can't tolerate. It's not digested. And it's not transformed or nourished. Rather, you feel like you have to vomit. Amen. Rather, instead of the tzaddik digesting you, you're not part of the nutrients. You're part of the waste. And he expels you. So you wonder, why is it that some people are completely transformed by the tzaddik and their whole life is flipped upside down, and another person, nothing's happening to him? This guy wants more. That's it. This guy wants more. And he's saying, this mashal that I'm giving you is not a mashal at all. Mamish, this is exactly what takes place. That what you are close to a tzaddik and you desire to be by him, literally he is consuming you. And he turns you into a tzaddik. But when you do not desire to be close to Hashem, in truth, doesn't mean I don't want to be close to Hashem. It means in truth, I don't really want to serve Hashem. I don't really want to do what it takes to be close to Him. I just want to be religious. In that case, you're not consumed at all by the tzaddik. Even though you're close to him. Because the tzaddik is not able to bear you. And he actually vomits you out. And that's why it says about the land of Israel. Besides the fact that it consumes its inhabitants, but if it doesn't, what happens? It vomits out the goy. Yeah. You ever notice that any of the people who took the land of Israel didn't stay there long? Whether it was the Romans, or the Greeks, or the Christians, or the Muslims, none of them stayed there for thousands of years. Why? Because the land vomits out excrement. Only the Jewish people can live in the land. It's not even a choice. But that's only if you want to live there. And if you don't really want to live there, meaning you don't really want to be close to Hashem, meaning you don't really want to live with Amunah, you get vomited out.
What about the goyim that live in Israel, that's been living there for thousands of years? The inhabitants of Israel.
So he's talking about a nation. But on a simple level, what we're saying is, all of the good inside of you, so to speak, is called Yehudi, is called Jew. And all the negativity inside of you is called Goy. The Tanya says this very clearly, where he says, really, what's the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew? Is a Jew only desires to give. He only desires to give to something else. He doesn't desire to receive at all. So why do we constantly... is the essence of a Jew. So then why are we always only doing things for ourselves? Because there's a part of you that's goyish. Why are you still arrogant? There's a goy inside of you. Why are you still angry? There's a goy inside of you. Why do you still get sad? Because there's another goy inside of you. All of these things are the non-Jew that's inside of you. Tanya says that your soul, the part of you that's Jewish, is not shaykh to these things at all. At all. And now if you see a person, a Jew, and you see he's sunk in all of this, you have to have such rachamim for him. He mamash is possessed by non-Jews. The culture, the mentality, the psychology, the lack of self-nullification. But in the end, the land of Israel vomits out those people who are not worthy. In fact, the Zohar says that at the time of Techiyat HaMeitim, that those bodies that are buried in the land, they get spit out. I don't know.
They don't roll. They don't roll through the ground.
They don't roll and stay in the land of Israel in the time of Olam Haba. They get vomited out into the ocean.
What could happen to the body?
Their bodies get vomited out of the land.
Which
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No, this is not good. You want to be consumed by the land. You don't want to be vomited out by the land.
Wow, this is interesting. You know what? You know what's a good fertilizer for the earth? Excrement.
Yes, it's true.
Being consumed, literally.
Wait, but what would cause you to be those type of people who are buried in Israel?
To be a person who's buried or a person who's vomited out.
Who's vomited out? Like, how do you become that person? Like, you're saying
You
it's a
don't
bad
do what
thing.
you don't do what Hashem wants
You're
to.
Russia. If you're buried
Yeah,
in
you're a
Israel,
Russia. Yeah. And
No tzadik amazing for you?
no. In other words, and it's not because it's mad, it just can't tolerate you. It's like when you eat food that's not real food, it cannot be digested into your body.
America. All processed stuff.
And he ends by saying, Hashem yatzilenu, Hashem save us. Mamash, yeah.
If he says it, if he says it,
Right? And he doesn't usually end his Torah like that. You're supposed to end on a good note. He says Hashem save us. It's a big thing. Okay? Anybody have any questions about this lesson?
No, next lesson. So this is where you have to connect yourself to the tzadik.
Yeah, that's why he says that your whole existence depends on your being close to a tzaddik. And he's saying here, you don't even need to succeed in what he tells you to do. You just need to want to. I understand that, but I'm saying, let's say for instance, he's telling you in every Torah not to waste seed, and you can't stop wasting seed. But the fact that you want to, eventually he's going to consume that desire of yours. If I threw you into a desert, and Shabbat is coming, he's like, okay, getting my finest fine. Okay? How are you going to know when it's Shabbat? You don't have a watch, you don't have a clock, you don't have anything. So the Gemara says you kind of just feel like it's Shabbat. Kind of just feel it's Shabbat. Same thing by the true tzaddik. Rav Natan says you're just going to kind of feel this is the guy. What's a good way to just... Do you feel every time that you learn his Torah, you want to be close to Hashem? You want to just like throw away everything and you just want to be close to Hashem. If you feel that, he's a real tzaddik.
but then is the concept of the tzadik yisod olam.
That's tzaddik's doing
the
that.
actual
Some
root source.
Okay. Yeah. But what happens when you don't really want to be close to Hashem, so you can't stay close to that tzaddik? He's going to vomit you out. Rav Nachman used to say about his followers, at the end of his life, he said, I had no followers. And they all were like, what are you talking about? I left my family and my friends and I moved here to this little shtetl in Ukraine so I can be by you. I do everything you tell me to do. You tell me to get up, I get up. You tell me to sit, I sit. I'm not your follower? And he said, no, I'm sorry. Who's your follower then? He said, the only people who are my followers are going to be in the end. When everybody is against them, which is going to be the case, and they stand by me, they're my real followers. Those are going to be my real followers. Meaning what? In the end, if you just believe in the tzaddik and you never give it up, no matter what, you're consumed and you become a part of him. What is this all speaking about? So we need to understand something very deep. The tzaddik is not just the one who rectifies your soul. Why was he able to rectify your soul? Because he is the root of your soul. You're like a branch to his trunk. And the branch can only receive sustenance from the trunk. So the whole reason when you connect to a real tzaddik and you feel on fire, you feel alive for the first time, the reason is because mamash, you plugged in the branch to the trunk. How do you stay connected? By believing that this is the trunk. Through the belief you attach. Even if you don't succeed in any other way, if you just simply remain strong in your belief and you want, you'll succeed. Any other questions? Are you guys spent from the roller coaster we just went on, or because you're dead tired?
Stomach's on a roll.
Yeah. Both.
Reading the Torah right now.
Both. Okay, good. Now I have another Torah.
I have a question before.
Good.
Let's say a person forgets to say a bracha before he eats food, right?
Yes.
Can he still elevate that food if he says a bracha wrong?
So the truth is that even if, let's say, you make an error, later on when you do tshuva, you do rectify it.
Let's say you're religious and it just happens.
No, I'm saying you also have to do tshuva. You missed the bracha. So when you do your bodedut, you need to say to Hashem, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention when I ate food. There was a soul in this food that's been waiting for thousands of years to come out, and I dropped the ball.
You can make the bracha sometime, you forgot for a minute and then start eating and then remember you didn't make the bracha.
Okay, so vomit out the food.
You can make the bracha, I think.
Yeah, okay, so this is tshuva. Tshuva lifts all of it up at the end.
Because Almighty know that you want
Listen,
it.
Hashem is not coming to get you. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when you do tshuva, Hashem immediately accepts it. Immediately. He knows.
Sometimes we're not perfect.
Yes. However, there was a story, I forget which rabbi it was. I don't even want to say it because I'm going to ruin the whole story, but in essence, I'll just tell you the point of the story, is that this guy was drinking a shot of like whiskey or something, and he didn't make a shakol on it, and the rabbi next to him was like, Nebuch, your father's soul is in that drink. And it was waiting only for you, meaning that it was a plant and it became wheat and then they fermented it and it became alcohol and the alcohol had to get into a kosher vineyard dispenser, had to get into this bottle to get to you. And aged 18 years, literally, that's what he told him. And now it's in front of you and you just missed the chance to rectify your father's soul.
There goes another 24 years. But...
So it's a big deal.
Wow, that's the last time I drank alcohol.
You made a bracha or you
24 years later.
Okay, so now listen to what he said. I saw this lesson and I felt it was connected to the last one, meaning it's not the same exact thing, but it's going to help strengthen what we're learning and give us the koach to follow through. Why is this the case? Meaning, why is it the case by believing in that tzaddik, he ends up extricating all the negativity inside of you and helping you to become your greatest self, to become a tzaddik. When a truly holy soul comes from above and descends down to this world, it comes down with its branches connected to it. Benny, Eli, off your phones. No, you're not. You're hiding them. When a great soul comes down to this world, he comes down with little tendrils. Tendrils. You know what a tendril is? Tentacles. Tendrils.
I think tendrils and tentacles are
Not the same thing. He comes forth. Imagine the soul comes forth, this great holy soul. He comes down like a tree. And he comes down with branches. Okay, everybody with me? However, these branches, when it comes down, comes with him, but separate from him. Meaning they're down, they come down with him into the world with him, but not actually connected at that point. Azaya klipa misabebet ota. Why? Because it's surrounded by a klipa, by evil force, meaning this holy soul. Why? Because the negativity in the world will not let holy souls come down to the world because they're concerned that they're going to elevate the whole world in Amunah. So what do? They have to cover it with a klipa.
say neshamot come down to covered in covered though?
When did we say that? Oh, so we said new souls. You mean new souls? But we're saying when it's a truly holy soul, it comes down in the klipa. Rak nishar petach neged amuna. The only opening that is accessible through this real tzaddik now is amuna. Listen to what he's saying. This great soul comes down to the world to rectify the world. The only way that the Sitra Achra is going to let it in is that it agrees to be completely concealed by a klipa. Meaning controversy. That people around are going to say he's not the real deal. You shouldn't be learning by him. Yes, like Abraham. Like Abraham. However, there is one opening to him. It's Amunah. Meaning by believing in him, even though everything is counterintuitive to that, that is the way to get back in. Shekeneged ha'amuna petach patuach. Facing faith, the opening is open. Bechamat begama anafim. However, when these branches of the trunk become blemished, meaning through averot, chas v'shalom, mashlichin otam misham. They are pushed away from the tree. Meaning, if you imagine when the trunk comes down into the world, it comes with the branches connected to it. But with every avera that the branch does, the branch comes further and further away from the trunk. And the issue is that the branch gets its sustenance from the trunk. Meaning, they are pushed away from amuna. What happens when a person does an avera? What happens when a person does an avera? From your own amuna. You'll notice what happens as soon as you waste seed. You have a hard time believing that Hashem is the one controlling your life. That's called amuna. What happens when you do any avera? So we said, what is the level of your soul which is vulnerable? It's your amuna. It's right above the sitra achra. So when you do an avera, what happens is your amuna becomes consumed. Not in a good way. By the other side, it gets captured. And now the branches are far from the trunk. And he's not able to enter, meaning he's not able to feel faith in Hashem. He's not able to be close to the root of his soul. He's not able to draw close to that tzaddik. It's all connected. Shehu and neshama. Meaning the concept of amuna and the tzaddik is one. Why don't I have real faith? Because I'm doing averot, because I'm sinning. Why can't I find my true tzaddik and connect to him? For the same exact reason. Because it's the tzaddik who teaches you faith, because it's one thing. He is the land of Israel. For occasionally a person is pushed away and he's cast down from his own faith. Like we see in the Zohar, which says about the Holy Land, Al Eretz Yisrael, concerning the dead who are not worthy of being buried in the land of Israel. They came, it says a pasuk, they came and they desecrated my land. My inheritance they made despicable, meaning through their averot. What happens to them? They are expelled from the land. Now behold, this sealing of the opening, meaning amuna, meaning through the blemish of the branches, hu rak lefi sha'ah, it's only temporary. Meaning the avera that blocks off your amuna, that blocks off your connection to the tzaddik, it's only for a moment. And afterwards, that opening for amuna, for connection to that tzaddik, is opened again. Meaning it becomes necessary to push out whoever does not deserve to draw closer. At that point, the surrounding evil force, which has an opening facing faith, gains strength. Everybody follow me, you're not going to understand what we just said. You lost me, right? Okay. Before the question. Actually, before this, you want to say?
I mean, it's on this.
It's on this, go ahead.
So on a macro scale, is Hashem sort of covered by a klipa?
Yes, 100%. That's the whole first Torah in Likutei Mohotan, of looking for the Chochmah and everything. That's Hashem. He's covered in the klipa and everything. What do you think?
Where the branches are.
And we are the branches to him. Right, very good. What he means here, though, is there is a holy tzaddik who comes down to the world. We're all connected to him. We all get our life force from him, whether we know it or not. What happens when we sin? Then we don't see the light of the tzaddik, meaning it's not apparent to us that he's the real deal. And then we can't receive from him. But he says it's only temporary. And at that time, he says it becomes necessary to push out whoever doesn't deserve to draw closer, meaning the person who doesn't believe in the tzaddik, he's then pushed away from him. And at that point, all of the evil gains strength. It draws closer and it spreads all over the opening. Meaning, not only are you pushed away, but when you become pushed away, the opening to the tzaddik, to Emunah, also becomes blocked. It's like a virus. And he says, at that point in time, that the branches are pushed out and the klipa then spreads around the whole thing, he says it's impossible to enter. Yet immediately afterwards, the opening returns and it's opened as before. When chas v'shalom, though, there is a plethora, an abundance of blemishes, so that the surrounding action has enough power to spread out over the opening and prevent entry by anybody, then we fear and worry lest the opening be sealed totally by the sitra achra. So what does Hashem do? Listen to this. It's a very interesting thing, and then we'll continue tomorrow. He says, Azai ma'amidin shama petach. Then Hashem places a Jew at the opening of the tzaddik, meaning belief of the tzaddik, faith of the tzaddik. He places somebody in front of that door, someone who has yirat shamayim, someone who really believes in Hashem. Shehu ba'atzma omed lishmor shelo yikanes sham, so that the klipa doesn't completely cover the tzaddik. Who is this person? It's the one who's against the tzaddik.
He's the one not fully closing.
Listen to what he's saying. It's an unbelievable thing. Yes.
He's saying he can't connect to Rav Nachman at all.
No, he's keeping one thing. It's the one that against him.
Who's telling you stop going to his classes, stop doing your Boda dude, stop learning by him, don't go do this.
Why?
Okay. Why? Why? Because of the sins of the Jewish people, it's about to be closed off access to Emunah completely. Access to the tzaddik is about to be closed off completely. By having opposition from one person who really believes in Hashem and really thinks he's doing what's right, and he actually is holding, so as a result of that, the klipot cannot completely subsume the tzaddik.
So him going against the tzaddik, in reality, is helping disconnect.
Yes.
Someone get how that's
That, you don't get it. It's the job of the Satan. The job of the Satan isn't to make you sin, it's to get you close to Hashem. It's the same concept. He's the guy who's opposite of the tzaddik.
And even so, he's actually a help against the klipa, meaning he's going against the tzaddik because he thinks he's taking people away, and he's actually doing the wrong thing. He's taking people away from their trunk. However, by doing so, he actually prevents evil from completely taking over. As it's not possible for it to draw close and spread over the opening because that guy was Yirat Shamayim is standing there. And that's why every great tzaddik always had an opponent. But as a result of Mesirat Nefesh of the branches, meaning even though they're being told, don't learn by him, don't do the things he's saying, it doesn't make sense, it's not normal. It's a cult. But through your Mesirat Nefesh, that you travel and you go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, even though it costs you $1,000 and you have to leave your family, you go anyway. You're able to attach yourself to him. Meaning the only way to get through the opening is Mesirat Nefesh. He says, yet even while that's the case, it's impossible for the tzaddik ever to give you his own wisdom, his mind itself. No, period, ever. He has to constantly clothe his own wisdom in lower wisdom. Meaning he can't tell you ever what he really knows, because what he knows is mamish God. He's only giving you, yes. And how he ends the Torah, V'Hashem yiparach l'maher ha'ge'ula bichlal ufrat. May Hashem hasten the redemption for everybody on a personal redemption and a collective redemption.
You know, it just reminded me of an episode of SpongeBob.
Wait, last thing and then we'll end. He says, study the Zohar in Parsha Truma. What does it say there? Only in Eretz Yisrael is everything rectified. He says, study well what is written there, that a thin curtain is spread out over the opening. Meaning, we just said that the tzadik is just like the land of Israel. The Gemara says, what happened when the Jewish people sinned and they were expelled from the land? There was a thin curtain that separated Hashem from us. And now we're learning that thin curtain, which separates us, is the only thing that keeps us going. If not for that thin curtain, we would be obliterated. We need that opposition. It's a good thing. Based on this esoteric teaching, that person is Yod Shamayim, he is the thin curtain which is hovered over the land of Israel, because the land of Israel is the true tzaddik. Entry is impossible, and it's also impossible for the evil force to spread out because of the opening with the thin curtain. Study there. That's it.
Like that.
That's how we know